Coach, thanks for making some time for us. I want to start out with a connection that I was not aware of until I saw Mike Haywood put in the notes that Adise Tony and Kobe and Caleb Brown, they're cousins. And I know Adise grew up in Huntsville, Alabama. But what do you think about the family dynamic heading into tonight's ball game between Arkansas and Missouri?
Hi, Tommy. Game day, finally. It seems like it's been a minute since we played, although it was just Saturday. But, yeah, listening to Adise talk the other night on the radio show, and he was, talking about, all the cousins that he's had throughout college basketball, like Trevor Lacey, who was a good player at Alabama, and then, of course, the Browns. The Huntsville area, Decatur, all through there have been so many good college basketball players throughout time, especially in the last decade, and they've played all over the country. And, of course, Adise being an example of that, a kid from Huntsville goes to Pitt, and then ends up with us. So it'll be interesting, those guys being cousins. And I like how he said it. We've all the whole time they were growing up, they battled. They had a lot of games, and he said he's played against a lot of his cousins in the past, high school, and he said, but then you always hug it out when the game's over, and so I like that. It's going to, and Brown is their best player. Kobe's a good player for Missouri, and he's really, I'm not saying he's all they've got, but, they've struggled. They have had a really tough beginning to this season, and so, they have to have a great game for him like he played against Alabama. They have to have a great game out of Brown every time to have a chance to win.
Yeah, he had 30 against the Crimson Tide, was named the SEC Player of the Week. So what's the key, Coach, to limit him tonight and to not let him have back-to-back double-digit performances?
Well, he may get into double figures, but he's a guy that he's not a he's really gotten better as time has gone. He was just a pretty solid role player for Missouri the last 2 years, and has not been a guy that's shown any signs, hey, I'm going to be scoring 30 down the line in SEC games. He's never shown that. And but now he's shooting the ball better. He's just more confident as an offensive player. He's always been able to rebound a little bit. And, he's a solid defensive player. I know last year he had problems with some foul trouble a lot, and his role was in and out. He'd start some games he wouldn't. He was in and out. But, now he's the guy they turn to. They run plays for him. He's got the green light to shoot it. He can shoot anytime he wants, and he's still rebounding the basketball well. And he's a tough kid. He's just got the mentality that I'm going to be the best player for my team and be very active. And so I think the Razorbacks, hopefully tonight, just everything clicks. 8:00 game. Hopefully there's a really good crowd in Bud Walton, and the Hogs are due. The Hogs are overdue, and hopefully that happens tonight in Bud Walton and beating Missouri.
Coach, you bring up the 8:00 start. We talk about it in football, the 11 a.m. starts, whether it helps or hurts the home team and what it does to the crowd. From your perspective as a coach and now an analyst on the radio, is there an effect by game time being at 8:00 that's noticeable to you?
Well, I think it's a really good question, and I think it's better for the home team. We may have we'll have a good crowd. Maybe a few people can't make it because it's 8. You do hear fans throughout the history of time complain about an 8 p.m. game during midweek because they're not going to get home till, depending on where they live, they may not get home till 10:30, 11:30, 12. So they got to go to work the next day. But I think it's still an advantage to the home team a later day. That road team, you think about Missouri, they flew in here, last night, and, they got to sit there all day. They'll come over to Bud Walton, practice for an hour today, and they've got a long day at the hotel. That's a long day to have to wait. And they'll show up at the Bud probably about 6:30. Most teams come an hour and a half early in college basketball, so they'll probably leave the hotel at 6:15. That's late. I mean, that's a long day to be at the hotel.
Dark,
and they'll have about 3 meals there today, and they'll be tired of eating hotel food. So I just think it's advantage to the home team. On Saturdays, Tommy, I still think it's on the road. And I know we just lost a game that was at 12 o'clock. Boy, if I'm on the road, most of our games this year are pretty good time slots. LSU, like 1 o'clock. The game the other day was 12. We go somewhere this year, maybe Alabama, we play like at 11 a.m. That's just better for the road team. Mm-hmm. They get up, they go play. And sometimes those crowds are smaller. Those early A&M's was a kind of later arriving crowd. They had a decent crowd for A&M, but even the Mississippi State game got moved from 8 p.m. to 4. They didn't have, I don't think they had 2,000 people there. Now, they beat us, but I'd still rather play in front of a smaller crowd than a packed gym, normally on the road. So I will say this, every once in a while, and you see it in the buds sometimes, I've seen us have a sold-out packed gym, and you know you're going to play good, and your own guys get a little shook up, and that the other team comes in, they're motivated by the crowd, they play their tails off and beat you. So, it's just you got to be ready to go.
No hiding from the conference record right now, winless for the Razorbacks. What's outside of not turning the ball over and doing a better job of defending threes and making threes? What are some things you've noticed that, hey, if these one or two things can click maybe tonight for the Razorbacks, they can get off the schneid in SEC play?
Well, definitely, and you hit it. The turnovers have hurt the Razorbacks, but I just think getting more guys going will really help, and it's. JD has been awesome, and 31 the other night. I'd love to see us win tonight with JD getting 18 and Audis has 17 and Stanley has 16 and Evo has 15 and Jalen Williams has 12. All that stuff adds up so much. I'd like to see us with like 5 guys in double figures and just more balance, more guys playing well. You've done well when a game ends, and you're like, man. We had like 7 guys really played well, and you don't want it to be when the game ends, you're like, well, we had 3 guys played good, and these 2 played really poorly, and these 2 just did okay, and these 2 really didn't do anything. You want more of a balance, everybody chipping in to help you, and hopefully that can happen tonight. I know this team needs a little shot in the arm, confidence-wise. They're saying, well, this was a team that was right at the top 10. So their confidence should be there. But when you've lost, I think we've lost 5 of 6. I didn't see that coming. I would have never, ever thought that we would lose 5 of 6. Never saw that. And so it's been a surprise. But now they just got to hang in there together, and players, coaches, everybody, and kind of, close that circle up, tighten everything up a little bit, do stuff a little better, and it starts tonight. And the schedule falls pretty good, Tommy. It's nothing against Missouri, but I would rather be playing Missouri tonight at home than, being on the road at Kentucky tonight. So take care of business, Find a way to win.
Coach, let's look at this league. Great game between Auburn and Alabama last night where the Tigers prevailed. I think that's the best team in the SEC. Bruce Pearl has his team top 4 in the country. Alabama still has a salty squad, J.D. Davidson and them. Tennessee, Kentucky, who you mentioned. There's some really quality teams in this conference this year. How do you think it's shaken out to this point in the season when you look at the conference overall?
Well, not a big surprise with Auburn. The people I thought would be at the top, and maybe will still be when it's all said and done, was the 3 A's, Alabama, Auburn, and Arkansas, and then Kentucky, and then right behind that, Tennessee. Didn't think LSU would be where they are, but it's early. I think they got a chance to lose at Florida tonight. But LSU's done well, especially in the non-conference. But I don't know about Tennessee. To me, they just really struggled to score. To me, Alabama was so good last year, 16-2. This is not the same team. They had those older seniors and Petty and especially Herb Jones. Those were very good defensive players. And 6'6", 6'7", long. And Alabama just don't look like they play that kind of defense to me. And they struggle. I think they try, but they're just not that same defensive team. I think they're dangerous, and they're a good team, but I don't think they can win this league. It just looks like Auburn. Arkansas 0-3. They got a long climb to do. Auburn's got a tough schedule. I think if you look at Arkansas' schedule and then you glance over and look at Auburn's, you see, wow, Auburn has a tough schedule. And I think that the fact they're 4-0 and they won at Alabama, they got a big week this week. They're the only team in the SEC, guys. It's got 2 road games this week. Everybody else is 1-1, except for Mississippi State. Mississippi State's got 2 home. And these guys got 2 road games. And I'm thinking, well, they better hope they can go 1-1. They got to go to Alabama, and they won. And so now they're thinking, hey, let's go 2-0. I mean, if they're 5-0 come Saturday night, and it's going to be a little bit tougher to catch up with Auburn.
Coach, I want to ask you this one last question before you go. We're referencing Auburn. Jabari Smith looks like a lottery pick. He's been great. They added Walker Kessler, the 5-star transfer from North Carolina. Bruce Pearl's got that thing going. When you look at the makeup roster at Arkansas compared to those other top-tier opponents, do you see a surefire NBA prospect on campus right now like each of the Alabama has Davidson, Auburn has Smith, Tennessee has Chandler. I mean, those are surefire NBA guys. Do you see that on Arkansas's campus right now?
That's a tough question. I think there's 4 or 5 guys at Arkansas that are going to, if they can get, they're going to have to be in the right place, the right time, get the right situation, and then they could definitely play in the NBA. I mean, a JD can. Devo, if he can get back to the way he was tracking that way. If he can get back to that, he's a guy. I think Jalen Williams has got a chance to play in the NBA. But those guys all are going to have the right situation. And Mason Jones is a good player. If Mason can make the NBA, and he's been in and out of the NBA, and so can Devo, so can JD. The matter is, part of when I was coaching, we'd see a lot of guys that might can make an NBA for a minute. They're in like a Daryl Macon and Dusty Hannas. They'll always be able to say, I played in the NBA, I made it. But are they going to be able to make it and get that 4 years and get that pension and get lifetime pay and all that stuff? That's the harder part. Moses Moody, Bobby Portis, those guys are going to have that pension forever. And, those guys have an opportunity. It won't be easy. So to answer your question, surefire, we just don't have a Jabari Smith surefire, lock going to be in the NBA a long time kind of thing. We don't seem to have that.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate you making some time for us this morning. Good luck on the call tonight. We'll start hearing from you at 7:30 on these airwaves, and we'll see if they can take it to the Tigers tonight.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you all. Hope you all have a great day.
You too, Coach.
All right, always good stuff when you get to visit with Matt Zimmerman.
BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the #1 spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile wagering to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's BLEAV. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.